You're broken down and tired of living life on the merry-go-round. And you can't find a fighter, but I see it in you, so we gon' walk it out. Ooh, mountain, we gon' walk it out. And mountain. And I'll rise like the day. I'll rise up, I'll rise unafraid. I'll rise up, and I do it 1,000 times again. And I'll rise up, I like the waves. I'll rise up, in spite of the age. I'll rise up, and I do it 1,000 times again. The silence is quiet, and it feels like it's getting hard to breathe. And I know you feel like dying, but I promise we'll take the world to its feet. Ooh, mountains, bring it to its feet. Ooh, mountains, and I'll rise like the day. I'll rise up, I'll rise unafraid. I'll rise up, and I do it 1,000 times again. All we need is hope, and for that we have each other, and for that we have each other, and we will rise, we will rise, we'll rise, we'll rise. I'll rise up, rise like the day. I'll rise up, in spite of the age. I will rise 1,000 times again. And we'll rise up, I like the waves. We'll rise up, in spite of the age. We'll rise up, and we'll do it 1,000 times again. I can't remember why I'm feeling this way. I guess I should be crying. I just wanna beg. It feels strange to be happy as I lie here on the rooftop in the rain. I say, amen to all the crazy things that happened that made me who I am. I say, amen to everyone who ever worries about tomorrow, forgetting yesterday. Just savor in the moment in this unfamiliar place. And I'm feeling like the velvet in a big guitar days. And so I said, amen to all the crazy things that happened that made me who I am. I said, amen to everyone who ever hurt me. I'm stronger because of them. Amen. Oh, life is so bizarre. How do we have to be so hard on ourselves? I think I found a way to smile and be okay with myself. With myself. Hey, hey, hey. To all the crazy things that happened that made me who I am. I'm strong because of them. And I might not have the answers, but the questions make more sense. Amen. All dreams start out small. Sometimes you don't know they're there at all. But I lay awake wishing on the stars, all the while knowing in my heart I was born a dreamer, a wide-eyed believer in things unseen. I was born a dreamer. Oh, say you believe in me. Doubt cuts deeper than fear. It'll scorn you till your hope disappears. Well, I fight against the things people say and let the tears fall where they may. I was born a dreamer, a wide-eyed believer in things unseen. I was born a dreamer. Oh, say you believe in me. Tell the measure of our dreams. We may change the world if only we believe. With the unknown road underneath my feet, I'll leave behind my fears and find my destiny. I was born a dreamer, a wide-eyed believer in things unseen. I was born a dreamer. Oh, say you believe in me.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this celebration of the TraRon Center. I'm Jackie Benson. I am a reporter for NBC4, which is the local TV news station here in Washington, D.C. If you watch us, I thank you very much for letting us into your house every evening. And if you don't, give us a chance. We're trying really hard to do something about the situations going on in our world, which is what brings me here. I've covered local news in DC for 30 years, and that includes the murder of Tracy, who along with Tracy and Ronnie, Ryan Nickens' siblings, are the name behind the TraRon Center. Now, what does the TraRon Center do? It is a local organization in Washington, D.C. It uses the creative arts to equip those affected by gun violence with healthy ways to deal with their trauma. And I apologize for reading from my notes, but I want you to know that they work with adults and use meditation, journaling, and other things to help gun violence survivors express their thoughts, their feelings, and something very important, their suppressed reactions to traumatic violence. We know a lot of times people walk around, I'm okay. They're not okay inside. The TraRon Center also holds circles of exhaling. And I love that concept, which are group sessions supervised by a licensed clinical therapist where survivors discuss the topics that directly and indirectly address their experiences with gun violence. And in addition, the adult survivors of violence identified the need to help the children in their community. And in response, the TraRon Center launched an arts and healing program for school-aged children. They also have after-school programs and a summer camp. And this last thing, we talk about solutions. They're also developing a series of training sessions on conflict resolution, emotional intelligence, peer pressure, and leadership for the community at large. Now, this organization was founded by Executive Director Ryan Nickens. She's one of the most amazing people I have ever met. And we will hear from her later this evening. As most of you know, and I'm wrapping up, I won't keep all night. This has been one of the worst years for gun violence, not only in Washington, D.C., throughout our country. One of the reasons looked at by many is the phenomenal increase in gun sales during the pandemic. And one of the factors in that, and we're seeing it in DC, are something called ghost guns. And these are basically guns assembled from parts that you can get in the mail. They can be put together by a non-professional person. They have no serial number. They're virtually unidentifiable. They're one of the greatest threats, in my opinion, facing communities across this country, and particularly Washington, D.C. right now. If you have the ear of your local representative, if you have the ability to talk to people in power about ghost guns and doing something about them, do it. You can help us all. Now, we know that this increase in gun violence affects disproportionately communities of color. Here in DC, the increase in violence has also spread across the city into areas that have previously not experienced high levels of gun violence. The TraRon Center was founded by Ryan. It shapes the daily needs of the community it serves. So it moves. It is a living, breathing, fluctuating thing. It brings support and hope to families in the community it serves. I am so glad that you all are here tonight with us, and I'm trying not to cry. You all mean so much to me, and I'm so in awe of what you do. I want to bring you an introduction from someone very special. It is Michelle Martin, who is the weekend host of National Public Radio's All Things Considered. We had the honor of working with her this year, and we're so happy to hear a message from her tonight. I want to let you know there might be, because we're doing this by Zoom, a little pause between the introduction and the actual video, but here is the message from Michelle.
Thank you, Jackie Benson. Thank you to the TraRon Center, and especially Kathy and Ryan, for inviting me to be even a tiny part of this evening. I'm so happy and honored to be with you, but of course, none of us is happy about why we're coming together. We're all here because of something that should never have happened to any of us. This is a country that can send people into space, that can land people on the moon, that can send land rovers to Mars, that can create incredible vaccines in a matter of months in an effort to stop this worldwide disease, but somehow we haven't figured out how to keep guns away from people who shouldn't have them and to keep people from using them in ways that should never happen. Now I'm going to tell you something that I haven't told many people. I'm a part of this community. My brother took his own life with a gun in 2010. Obviously, I think about him every day, the way I'm sure you think about your loved ones every day. And I wish that it were different. You know, I wish that he could still be here to annoy me. This was my little brother, after all, and tell me bad jokes and send me inappropriate birthday cards and make a fuss over my kids. But when I thought about him today, what made me happy was thinking about you and the work that you are doing to make a difference. This isn't something you should have to do, as we said, but you're doing it. And all those whose lives have been touched by your work are deeply grateful. Now, Jackie Benson and I are journalists, so we aren't here to tell you what to think, but we are here to tell you what to think about. So tonight, I'm going to ask you to think about those loved ones, what they meant to us, the good times we had with them, and think about what would make a difference. Thanks for everything you've done so far and everything you're going to do until we can get together just because we want to. Have a great evening.
Okay, some of you may have experienced a little bit of difficulty in hearing that. I know I heard very diligent efforts to raise the volume. It might have only been my phone, but I love you all for staying with it. Now, we want to have a brief spoken word performance from Reverend Hazel Cherry. Now, Reverend Cherry is a passionate writer, preacher, teacher, and digital marketing consultant in Washington, D.C. She uses her gifts to raise awareness of injustices, and to inspire hope in the next generation. Her motto, and I love this, when you discover issues in society that break your heart, do your part to mend them. So let's hear from Reverend Cherry.
Good evening. My name is Reverend Hazel Cherry, and I want to extend thanks to Ryan, my colleague from Howard Divinity, and my dear friend Shashada for extending the invitation to be part of this wonderful event celebrating the work that the TraRon Center continues to do in the community. I'm so proud and thankful to be celebrating with you all. The piece that I wrote is specifically for this event, and it is entitled Hopeful Healers. And I pray that it just provides a little encouragement. We are labeled as victims, but through it all, we are still victorious. We take our pain and morph it into something glorious. Mothers mourn their sons and daughters taken senselessly. The tears cried are as endless as the sea, yet we are not ashamed of our grief. We stand for those gunned down, never letting their memories fade to the ground. Yes, we miss them. We want to hug and kiss them. Their bodies are buried, but out of the soil, roots bring forth a tree whose fruit bears the witness that they are alive in us, connecting us, uniting us to put an end to the violence. No, even though we are hurting, we will not be silenced. We speak up. We live loud. We love harder. We laugh fuller. So this one is for the triumphant, brokenhearted, for those who stare death in the face and live to tell about it. We are not afraid to face the pain. We will not feel guilty for experiencing our joys. We are magicians. We make hurting hearts into hopeful healers. And this is our mission.
All right, so here's what we're going to do. While these wonderful folks who are diligently helping us with the videos, until I know we do this on the news set, by the way, all the time, until I know they have that audio problem resolved, we're going to go forward with the people that can hear us, because some of us could not. So what I'm going to do, if you don't mind, because we are allowed to go out of order, I would now like to introduce Kathy Feingold. And I'm going to say a little bit about Kathy, and I am going to try and get through this without crying, because that doesn't suit Kathy at all. She's about action and doing. I say very often, and I've seen in my job and in my own personal life over the years, that survivors of gun violence, someone who's lost a loved one, their heart it's like they're walking around with an invisible gunshot wound, and they're in pain and it hurts and people can't see it. And I think so many of the ills in our society are people whose pain and grief never gets seen. And they get asked at work, why are you in a bad mood? Why did you show up late? And so many people are just looking the other way. In Kathy's case, everyone looked, and they looked, and they looked, and they looked, and they looked. And they wanted to see, and we've talked about this before, they wanted to see the privilege. They wanted to see the privilege. They wanted to see her take the privilege. And they didn't know Kathy, because she took her grief and her pain at losing her wonderful Jerry. And she said, this is going to do something. This is going to do something to make this change. And darn it, if she didn't, darn it, if during those first few days of grief, after losing Jerry while they were out at dinner near 14th Street, losing him to gunfire, she contacted Ryan to talk about the important work of the TraRon Center. And if Kathy is available, we're working through this, first time we've ever done this, we'll hear from her now.
Thank you so much, Jackie, for that beautiful introduction. And I just want to make sure that you also get your shout out and the introduction you deserve. You've been a DC reporter since 1999 at NBC4. And you know what your formal bio does not say to everyone is that you have been covering some of the most difficult and challenging issues in our city: violence, homicide. And what you do every single day is you bring humanity. And I think the first time Jackie and I met, we sat outside here in Tacoma Park and we didn't know each other. And I just looked at her and said, why do you do this every day? Talk to people like myself and Ryan and people who have lived through the worst. And what you told me that day, Jackie, and what you're continuing to do, and I'm grateful for, is you said that as long as you can bring humanity to this issue and bring our stories forward, you will continue to do this important work. We're grateful. And I wanted to make sure everyone knew that you're not just a local reporter, but you're someone that brings forward stories and the human side. So thank you for all you do. And thank you for your support of the TraRon Center. It is so great. I'm loving the chat. It's so great to feel like we have people from all over the country helping us celebrate the first time ever, the TraRon Center. And you know, over the last 6 months, as I grappled with the tragedy of losing my husband, Jerry, to gun violence, I've had to adapt to some new roles. I'm a survivor of gun violence, a widow, a single mom, but one of my favorite newest roles is member of the TraRon Center board. That's a lot to hold and to grow into over the past 6 months. But I continue to like to use the image that I've used over the years of weaving a tapestry around the hole that Jerry's death has left in our life. I had no idea the new threads that the TraRon Center would continue to add to my life and my family's life. And I'm so glad that TraRon is one of these partner organizations in building out this new part of our lives. And as Jackie mentioned, one of the greatest mysteries that will probably go down in Washington, D.C. in 2021 is how the heck did I come to connect with Ryan in those first few days after the loss of Jerry? But I'm sorry to tell you, I really cannot solve that mystery for you. We've tried to figure out what I put into the search engine. But what I can tell you is in July, I do clearly remember immediately feeling moved by the stories told on the center's website and the vision expressed by the center's founder and executive director, Ryan Nickens. And we've heard a little bit about this vision. It's culturally appropriate peer-to-peer counseling model that provides children and families the tools they need to deal with grief and trauma so that they don't repeat the violence that far too many have experienced for so many generations. But what speaks to me about the TraRon model is its recognition that unlike so many things in our society where we just want to fix it, we want to fix the problem quickly. I am here to tell you there are no quick fixes to grief and trauma. You carry grief and you carry trauma. And so knowing that you carry it and there is no Band-Aid to quickly get over it, what you need is the TraRon Center, which builds long-term trusting relationships with the community so that they know the center is committed to a deep process of healing. There is no quick fix. Ryan's hug to a child is a hug that goes deeper and says, I am here for you now when you are 6 and when you will be 16. You will carry that grief with you for many years. So learning to carry that load in a way that's not too burdensome, that doesn't get in the way of loving and educating yourself and getting a job and giving back to your community. That's the work of the TraRon Center. So part of my own process of healing is finding ways to ensure that we continue to do this work. We continue to honor Jerry's memory as a blessing, as we like to say in the Jewish tradition. And you know what we mean when we say that is that each of us who share his memory is committed to continuing his goodness, his own commitment as someone who worked for the Peace Corps for many years to bring justice and to carry on his legacy through our work. But I'm telling you, I've grappled with that Jewish frame. His loss was no blessing. His loss was very painful to lose a loved one to gun violence. So what we now need to say, and I borrowed this from the domestic violence movement in Israel, is that when someone dies due to this kind of violence, we really need to say, may his memory be for a revolution. May we make sure that each day we take actions, small and big, that transform the systems that continue to support so much violence in our communities. So welcome to the TraRon revolution. It's a start. Like most social justice work, that moral arc of justice that Reverend King spoke about just doesn't seem to bend quickly enough for many of us. We want to get it done quickly. We want to solve the problems. But when it comes to gun violence, we know we need to take our time, build systemic approaches. No one organization can do it all, but I think we all have the collective responsibility to take some action. Don't let it get overwhelming. Don't despair. Get involved in whatever level speaks to you. It could be a donation. It could be helping TraRon with its website or partner organizations or grant writing. There are many ways to help these frontline organizations with their creative local solutions. So that's why I am so honored by the many people who took action this summer and over these past months to help us build support for the TraRon Center through the Jerry Black Memorial Fund. The fund was created in the first days after Jerry's murder, and I really had the hopes of raising a few $1,000s. And in the end, through your generosity, we raised over $260,000 for the center. So what are we doing with the fund? First of all, we're creating the Jerry Black Scholarship Fund for students who've been impacted by violence and who are heading to post-high school education, vocational training programs. Each student will receive $4,000 and we will honor them in an event this spring. I hope some of you will join us this spring. We'll let you know about it. Secondly, the TraRon Center is expanding the center's program. This year, the center began a new program in Marshall Heights here in Washington, D.C. This is an area of DC with some of the highest levels of gun violence. So the center isn't just opening a center, they're first doing that hard work of building trust, laying the groundwork to grow that second center. Third is using the fund to build a much needed endowment. We know how hard it is for small NGOs on the front lines of really challenging situations to go through the ups and downs of funding cycles. We're proud that through your donations, they now have investments and an investment firm helping them build out an endowment that promises a strong future. And we hope to continue to build engagement with so many of you with us tonight who donated to the fund. So on behalf of my family, please accept our gratitude for continuing to honor Jerry's memory, for helping us build out this important work, and sustaining what I am calling the TraRon Revolution to have an impact to end gun violence in our city and hopefully build models that work throughout our country. I would now like to turn it over to someone who has been taking his own actions to support the TraRon Center. Tom Pines, like many of you, continues to give generously to the work of the TraRon Center. Tom was looking for a local grassroots organization to support and came across the TraRon Center in December 2018. He and Ryan met to discuss her vision for supporting children and others impacted by gun violence. It was at this meeting when Tom decided to become a sustaining member of the TraRon network of supporters. Let's hear from Tom now.
Hello, everybody. My name is Tom Pines, and I'm very pleased to be presenting this message to you tonight. I guess my first thought is how pleased and gratifying it is to be involved in related to an organization like the TraRon Center. Ryan is an exceptional person. I'm sure everybody knows that. And when we first met, I was completely amazed about her strength, her intellect, and I felt very, very confident being involved with the organization. And since then, seeing all of the fantastic work that it does, it just gives me great satisfaction. So the other point I would want to just say is that, the initial reason that I decided, besides for Ryan, I mean, she was a key factor, but the other factor was just the direct impact that your donations can have when you give to an organization like the TraRon Center. They are completely involved in the community, they live in the community, and those dollars do a lot. So at this time of year, I again am very, very satisfied with the work that TraRon has been doing and my involvement with it, and I would certainly encourage everybody to give as much as they can because it is an excellent, excellent cause. Happy New Year's, everyone, and happy holidays.
And it looks like, I think, Kathy, some of us can and some of us cannot hear. Were you able to hear him? Okay, all right. So I suggest that we keep going with our next part of the program. And those of you who cannot hear, all of this will be posted on the TraRon Center's website, so you will be able to hear it. Music is a profound form of self-expression, and I know from my own experience in life that it is also a form of healing. So we are about to be treated to two back-to-back musical gifts. First, from the recording gospel music group Brandon Camphor and One Way, we received this video from from Minister Angela Jones. It will be followed by a video from the United Methodist Church of Bethesda. And here we have it.
Your mercy sustains me through it all, and you're there every single time I call. I find grace and love at the feet of the Master, and if I run, your love comes chasing after. Yes, you're always with me.
And I think we are waiting for the second video, and that is from the United Methodist Church in Bethesda. Do we have that? By the way, that rendition of God of Mercy was amazing.
Sometimes in our lives we all have pain, we all have sorrow, but if we are wise, we know that there's always tomorrow. Lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on, for it won't be long, short, till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. Please swallow your pride if I have things you need to borrow. No one can fill those of your needs that you won't let show. Lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on, for it won't be long, short, till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. If there is a load you have to bear that you can't carry, I'm right up the road. I'll share your load if you just call me. Just call on me, brother, when you need a hand. We all need somebody to lean on. I just might have a problem that you understand. We all need somebody to lean on. Lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on, for it won't be long, short, till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on.
What two amazingly beautiful videos, each different in their own way, but the joy that came out of everyone's hearts, absolutely, absolutely astonishing. Do we want to? And we have a couple of videos we did not get a chance to see, but again, experiencing a slight problem. Some of us can hear it and some of us cannot. Do we want to go back to the two of the videos that we were not able to play, the kids and parents, and also the band from the Cheater Jewish community? Or if somebody can just send me a little quick message across the screen. If not, if we're not able to do that, and you will see me embarrassed. Okay, we are. All right. So tonight we are fortunate to hear from a group of passionate presenters, and those are the kids, parents, and partners of the TraRon Center. Take a look at this video.
Hi, I am Ada Wiggins.
I'm Dallas Gord. I'm Bryce.
I had 11 grandkids at the center. This is a place, like I said, home away from home. The attitude changed a whole lot.
Here is with students, get them feel free, confident.
Her vision of wanting to help young people build resilience to trauma is, I think, the key to our success in terms of building safer communities, reducing mass incarceration, and just addressing social justice as a whole. And so what Ryan is doing is like the real work, the long-term trauma-informed care that is needed for young people and families who've been impacted by violence.
We play games. We do art. It helped me grow my brain. It helped me meditate. Sometimes I feel down, mad, and it makes me feel much better because people are getting like killed out here, and this is like a place like for kids that can be here when their mom like work late.
In that brighter day, we're about helping the youth in the community. And so when Ryan asked for space to continue her program, we had space available. So there was a no-brainer to offer the space to her.
What's important to me? That I have family and friends here and people that love me here and want me to be safe.
And we really need donors because this is like a second place where we could feel confident in ourselves and use affirmations on ourselves, and where we just could be kids and our voice could be heard.
I want to hug everyone who was in that video. That was beautifully, beautifully done. And what a nice, I'm glad we got to that so that we could get a feeling for the healing and the work that goes on in there. I could see it in people's faces. I could see it in their eyes. Now, one of the things that Kathy mentioned, and I want to say, is that Jerry Black was a beloved member of the Peace Corps, as many of you know, and Tacoma Park communities, as well as the Cheater Jewish community, where he was a member of the band. Now, the band has prepared their version of Wildflower. Wildflower is a song originally sung and written by Tom Petty as he took in the springtime beauty of the Santa Barbara countryside, something beautiful to think about right now. Jerry loved music and hiking the outdoors, where so many of us find peace. And we want to say thank you to Ben Rosenthal, Jen Braveman, Ezra Martin Rosenthal, Ralph Pendle, Deborah Romer for sharing this song with us to honor Jerry. And that was incredible. I want to hug all those people too, because that was amazing how they did that beautiful rendition of that song in tribute to Jerry. All right. It is my very humble honor to make this next introduction. I have learned that the truly, truly brave people in life are the people who ask for help. It is a true act of spiritual bravery. And I have learned that the people who reach out their hand to help are the best of humanity, and they are the true heroes of our world. And Ryan Nickens is one of those people. With her impressive academic credentials, and believe me, her academic credentials are not only impressive, but perfect for the place she's found herself in life, a lesson to us all. She could be doing anything right now. She could be a CEO of a corporation. She could be a VP of anything she wanted to be. Instead, Ryan Nickens chose to help people heal from the very same type of repeat trauma by gun violence, exposure, and loss that marked her young life and took, among other people, her sister Tracy and her brother Ronnie, for whom the TraRon Center is named. And without further ado, I bring you to update you on the work of the center and her vision forward, Ryan Nickens.
Thank you, Jackie. Thank you for those kind words. Very kind words. And I want to thank everyone for being here this evening, for our group, our panel, and also for Angela, for my Howard University School of Divinity sisters, Hazel and Angela. Hazel for that amazing poem, Angela and her group for that amazing song, Shashada, our chairwoman who coordinated this, and for everyone, Kathy, Lois Fingerhut, who's on our board as well, and Jess Arnold, who Jess has been working on videos and uploading videos. Jess is a reporter for Channel 9 here in the city, and she has recently been promoted to the morning show. And so she's got to get up extremely early. And so she's been doing this in between time. And so I want to thank her. And I want to thank Johnny, who works with Kathy, who's doing our technology today. And then the board members of the TraRon Center. A lot of times, being the face of an organization, people pat you on the back a lot. But in these last 5 years of founding this organization and running this organization, I have had amazing people beside me, walking with me and making sure that this mission and this vision comes to fruition. And also trying very hard to make sure I take care of myself as well in all of this. And so I thank the amazing board of the TraRon Center. I thank our staff members who do amazing work, the day-to-day work of being with our children as my road continues to evolve. I thank you all because I lean into the words of the great Dr. Maya Angelou in her poem Alone, that nobody makes it in this world alone. I lean into that because I didn't make it through the tragedies and the trauma that I experienced alone. I made it because community came from near and from far, and they put their arms around me and they said, we will not allow your light to go out. And so that is what we are saying to the children we embrace at the TraRon Center. My sister Tracy, who is the Trey and TraRon, would have been 47 years old today. Today would have been her 47th birthday. But due to gun violence, we can only celebrate her in our hearts and in our minds, because we cannot she's not physically here with us anymore. And I chose tonight to honor my sister as I honor her and my brother and my other family members who have been taken from us and stolen from us due to gun violence through the TraRon Center. You've heard from our kids. You've heard from our parents and our partners about this work. Kathy so beautifully talked about our work. So has Jackie throughout this evening. So I am here to tell you what we've done this year and where we want to go. And if you are a board member, you know I dream big. I don't have small dreams. I have big dreams of where I want us to go and how big of an impact that I want the TraRon Center to make. And so during this pandemic that seemed like we've been in a pandemic for almost a decade now, and it feels like, but we were able to run a learning pod for our kids, that our kids could come back to some sense of normalcy through a learning pod of being back together in a somewhat classroom setting. And we did that with donors. We did that with Tom's help, Tom Pine's help. We did that with so many of you, Jamie Butler, and we did it with the help of National United Methodist Church, Metropolitan AME Church, Temple Sinai, Goddess Israel, and so many people who came together to say, look, this, whatever you need. I have been blessed in that people just say, tell me what you need, and we'll help you get it done. And the faith community in Washington, D.C. has done that. And so have so many of you on this call. You continuously gave to the learning pod, and you made sure that our kids had food to eat, 2 meals a day, breakfast and lunch. You made sure that we were able to hire aides and teachers to help our kids, that we continue to provide them with art therapy and one-on-one counseling services during a pandemic in which now our top position, the top position of the Surgeon General quoted in a political article that, trauma as it relates to the pandemic is, and young people, is the number one thing. But I would say yes, and so is gun violence. That is another trauma we need to explore with our kids. And so you all helped do that. You all helped us run a 7-week successful summer camp where our kids got to get out of the house again, go and explore the DMV, the District, Maryland, and Virginia. For our friends that are across the country on a call tonight, they got out and they got to breathe fresh air again. They got to just be kids and not worry about anything, and still do their art therapy and one-on-one sessions. And then we ran into a bump in the road and found ourselves without a home for a couple of weeks. And as you heard from Reverend Murray in the video, I called and I said, look, do you all have space that we can use? Because right now we don't have the money to buy a space. And so we need a space. And Reverend Murray said, yes, you can come to Brighter Day. You can utilize the fellowship hall. It's all yours. And we continue our after school program. And then I thought it's time to expand. And my lovely board members looked at me cross-eyed like, this chick is crazy, but said it's time to expand into another ward. And so we moved into Ward 7 and we're building those relationships. And I reached out to another pastor and said, can we use your space? And he said, sure, Ryan. Yeah, you can use the space. And so we will begin running programming. We've been building relationships these last 4 months, and our after school program will start in January with those kids in the Benning Heights, Marshall Heights community. And so we're expanding. With expansion comes more bills. And so I am, and so that's one part of wanting you to become sustaining donors like Tom. Wanting you to become sustaining donors like Jamie Butler and her husband Stuart, like our board members, Lois, Andre, Condra, Meg, Shashada, and all the other board members are sustaining members, donors. And we want you to become that as well. Because we don't want to run into another situation where we can't run our operations because we have nowhere to run them out of. And so we have this big idea of the TraRon House. It would be ours. We would be the center of culturally appropriate trauma support for those who have been impacted by gun violence. Out of there, we would, and thank you, Pat, for committing tonight to be a sustaining donor. We will run our programming for children and for adults, our group sessions. We will have yoga, meditation, all of those holistic healing tools that we use with our children and we use in group sessions will be housed in this space. What I failed to mention is that our kids wrote a song. And so we want to use all of the creative arts because, as Jackie said, music is healing. There is a healing element in music. And so we want to use all of the creative arts to help our kids heal, to help our kids understand that their creativity and their imagination will not lay dormant in them and it will not be killed by the trauma and the pain that they have experienced in their lives and in their communities, that they will see that through all of these things that they're learning, that they too can be the change that they need. So we don't tell our kids at the TraRon Center that they have next. We tell them that they have now. And so that's why we've included them in this night, not just to appeal to you, because we do know that children ring on the hearts of everyone, but these are our leaders. As one of our board members, Condra, said, they are the leaders. She said in the chat that they will lead us. And we have to determine right now, in these moments when they are facing the most obstacles and the most pain, how they will lead us. Will they lead us and say that here are the folks who showed up for me and taught me how to lead with love and with care? Or will they lead in another way and in a consistent way that we see now? And that is leading in the wrong direction and seeing our homicide rate go up, seeing the number of juvenile offenses go up in our city. There are two ways to lead. And right now I'm making the appeal to you that you would become a sustaining donor and help us lead our children in the right way. And that is helping us build the TraRon House, helping us bring on more staff, and then you volunteering. For those who are in DC, we have volunteer opportunities. You just need a COVID, you need to be vaccinated, pass a background check, and we are happy to use the talents, the gifts, and the abilities that you have to further our mission and to bring joy and light to our kids' lives. As our kids said in the video, that's their safe space. And that was the goal when I created the TraRon Center. It wasn't just healing, but creating a safe and sacred space for our kids. And so will you join, as Kathy said, the TraRon Revolution, that we may have started here in DC, but the vision is to be in Baltimore, to be in Philadelphia, to be in Chicago, to be in cities where gun violence has run rampant for decades, to begin that healing process and to take this revolution nationally. And so will you join us? And I want, as always, thank you. I am very much grateful for every donor, every volunteer, for our board members, for all of you who contribute to this mission, because I cannot do this alone. And our kids deserve the absolute best. And it is you who make up the TraRon community. Whether you are in California, Chicago, wherever you are, you help make up that community. It's begin to help us build. And so I want to thank you all. You will hear more about us going forward in our newsletter. You will hear much, much, much more about our next steps. So thank you. And thank you, Jackie. Good night.
I loved hearing what you said. The part about the revolution, and a word that also rhymes with it is that solution. If you become a sustaining donor, you can't just look and say, oh, nobody's doing anything.
Yep.
You are doing something. And I think that's what people really, really want to do. Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And now, with your leave, I am going to thank everybody for coming this evening. It has been so wonderful to celebrate the work of the TraRon Center with all of you. And I wanted to real quickly thank some people who worked very hard tonight for this. Jess Arnold, a TraRon board member who helped with the videos you saw tonight. Johnny Palmer, who generously volunteered to run all of the tech. Seishida Young, president of the TraRon board, and Lois Fingerhut. I saw you also messaging everyone enthusiastic, supportive messages, Lois, and that made me so happy. Also a TraRon Center board member. These good people cannot continue the work of the TraRon Center without support. And as I said, and this is the last thing I'm going to say, if you want to see solution and revolution, spread the word to everybody that you can to support the work of the TraRon Center. It's the answer. And so just thank you all tonight. I hope we got everyone who needed to be thanked, and thank you all. And remember, one last thing, all the videos will be posted because some of them were really amazing and I want to look at them again. So thank you all and good night.
And we'll have a last word from the kids as people close out. Johnny?
We came to play outside. All this gun violence, I'm tired of it. How you feel?
How you feel? Tell me how you feel. You can be happy or sad, you might feel funny or mad. How you feel? Tell me how you feel. You can be happy or sad, you might feel funny or mad.
Self-love, the best love, we getting on and we getting strong. God vibes, we stop that, we spread love, we don't bust that. We here together, we need each other. Bad blood, we don't like that. Bad blood, we rep it up, we bag it up, we check that. Bad blood, we smash it up. Bad blood, we don't mess us. We don't like that, we don't want that. We don't like that, we don't want that.
We step up, we step back, we like that, we on track.
How you feel? Tell me how you feel. You can be happy or sad, you might feel funny or mad. How you feel? Tell me how you feel. You can be happy or sad, you might feel funny or mad.
Black lives matter, they don't care. I love my beautiful skin and my hair. We got to stay strong, we got to believe. We need peace in the streets so we can feel free. George Floyd, may he rest in peace. Breonna Taylor, we wish your family peace. Gun violence is wrong, keep the guns out of the street. Why you keep on killing people that look like me? You're hurting God, and you're hurting me.
How you feel? Tell me how you feel. You can be happy or sad, you might feel funny or mad. How you feel? Tell me how you feel. You can be happy or sad, you might feel funny or mad. My name's Amaya, I'm a black leader. I don't care about them because I'm a believer. I like to rock and I like to rhyme, and I know how to tell time, and this time is ours. How you feel?
Thank you, everybody. Thanks for sharing the night with us. Goodbye. Thank you, Jackie.
Thank you.
Kathy, thank you so much for making sure we got that video at the end. I was just going to text you. That was the most important thing. My gosh, I love that. Thank you.
And I just see that Jerry's parents are with us, and I just want to give a shout out to them and thank you to my in-laws, Barbara and Jeff Black. We love you, and thank you for pledging to support the TraRon Center. Lots of love to everybody. Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye.